Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Ari Lax, and this week we've got the new kind of hotness in 1v1 Commander. So rather than play the kind of best deck in Barrel, I kind of wanted to explore the next level strategy of the Disruptive Tempo deck. So this week I am going to be playing with the Tasigur deck. This is a list that Jarvis U has been playing with actually literally his cards. So thanks, Jarvis. Um, the general idea is that the barrel deck, which is like the level 0 best deck, I think it's the majority of the metagame, or not majority, it's like 20 some percent of the metagame right now. Um, is so the idea is that you always get to cast barrel from your command zone every game. So you can be this really consistent hyper mana efficient counterspell card draw deck that ends up comboing out with polymorph effects to flip into your one creature, because barrels just goes back to the command zone. There's no other creatures in your deck. And your one creature's Emrakul, and there's battlefield, game ends, whatever. So the next level is that you have slightly better selection, slightly better answers, um, and then threats that actually provide a little more card advantage, and then you don't have these clunky tap out 4-drop threats in your deck. So that's what the Tasker deck is attempting to do. There's a bunch of decks like Leovold or Vile Smasher with some blue general as a partner, usually Crown Ludovic's Opus. It's just like a 4-mana 4 or 5-mana 4/4 flyer with haste. Whenever your opponent casts their second spell of a turn, you draw a card. Vile Smasher is 1 black red for a 2/2. And whenever you cast the first spell of a turn, it does that much damage. You will let spells convert a mana cost to a random opponent. Let me see if I can pull up these cards to discuss the rest of the relevant metagame. So we got Vile Smasher, which is, yep, there we go. Cast your first spell, and then Crown? Yeah. Or, the other one people have been playing is, nope, that's not how you spell it. Triton. I have no recollection of what the first name on this card is, but there you go. Thrasios Triton Hero, which is literally just a partner that's green and blue and playable. Not a lot beyond that. But back to this deck. It's kind of hard to break down a 100-card deck, so we're going to be talking through all the options and highlighting ones that are good to tutor for, because that is one of the things you get by playing black in 100-card formats like this, is that you have a high density of tutors, so you have a pretty strong selection every game. You have to find your best cards more reliably. So we've got a bunch of fetch dual mana. The real important thing here is you'll notice the mana is base blue. You have 5 different islands. Splash black, 1 swamp. Very light green. So you'll notice that you've got Overgrown Tomb, you got Breeding Pool, you got Trop and Bayou wherever they are in this stuff. Tropical and Bayou. But a lot of these non-fetchable lands, you don't have the green-black ones. So just the blue-green, because your base blue, light black, even lighter green. There's actually, what, maybe 4 or 5 green cards in the deck. We got Pulse, we got Decay, Sylvan Library, Life from the Loam, and that's it. So yeah, you're really just a blue-black deck with a light splash. Notables in the non-fetchable lands. You're pretty heavy on fetches, by the way, because you want delving resources for Tasigur. You've got a Mox Diamond, extra mana early is nice. Let's see, we've got Wasteland. Strip Mine was recently banned because it's too easy to lock people out with it with Loam and Crucible. But Wasteland's almost as good in the format. Not quite as good against Barrel, but good against a lot of the other stuff. Temples, Scrying's pretty powerful. You have 2 cycling lands. You have Lonely Sandbar and Fetid Pools. A way to grind away cards with your Loam, and then a Creeping Tar Pit to finish with. And a Cavern of Souls, which is always naming Human Shaman. Human, correct? Yep, always naming Human. There's only 3 creatures. They're all humans. But having access to this is really important to push through against the heavy counterspell decks that you'll see on both sides. So, nice selection of card draw spells. All the good cantrips. We got Mental Note and Scour to fuel our Tasigur. Ancestral Vision to draw bulk cards. And then a bunch of tutors. So, looking at this, it's actually very reasonable that we're going to want to tutor for. It's possible I could see like early Ancestral Vision being a tutor target, but not too attached to it. One thing to note, there's no Imperial Seal. The instant speed and flexibility is kind of important, but Tainted Pact is really awesome. You'll note that there's a split of snow and regular islands so that you can support not flipping multiples of the same card to it, but it's kind of super easy instant speed tutor in this format. Really easy to build a deck that just finds whatever you want. You exile the cards until you hit it. Tainted Pact's kind of the secret awesome card that people are going to forget about in this format. Moving on to counter magic. Daze, Force Spike, Disrupt, a lot of early counterspell nonsense, but also Force of Will, which is probably going to be another one of the most tutored for cards in the deck. Just a very unique effect, free counter magic. No misdirection, but you're more worried about one-for-one answering everything. You got to Stifle to randomly hit their mana or just a lot of the random other stuff that goes on in this format. Same with Spell Snare. Notably hits Barrel. Stubborn Denial notably interacts with Tasigur well. There's an argument that you could play a bunch of other different cards as your commander in this archetype, most notably being Leovold. If you do, you probably not be playing Stubborn Denial because you don't have auto access to a 4-power creature. Kind of count the discard spells in the same category. Another likely tutor target is going to be Duress or Inquisition or something to pick away a specific answer or threat before they can cast it. Mind Shatter is a super powerful, it's kind of a way to interact with their hand, but a finisher as well. Another possible tutor target is just kind of a big blowout spell. Another good early counter spell. All these are just, redundancy on your early counter magic. Worth noting that Memory Lapse is a unique effect that you may want to tutor for if you're just interested in effectively taking an extra turn against a specific spell. And you're light on ways to instant speed draw a card, but you can scour them and draw your card if you vamp it up, or you can Tainted Pact for it. There's a way to instant speed get a specific spell. Counterspell and him also solid tutor targets, just like the best thing that it does, and then the cheap, efficient version of Mind Shatter. Prohibit's secretly awesome. I'm sad this card has not had more opportunities to see play because it's just really, really nicely designed. Basically another negate. And then your high-end counter spells that all say draw a card in some form. You've got awesome bugged out art Cryptic Command. Just is Cryptic Command. Look at all these abilities on this textless card. Dismiss, which I can't believe that card almost got reprinted. Just drawing a card when you counterspell is so absurd. And then Mystic Confluence. This is a unique one, not quite good enough to see Legacy play, but is going to create some pretty crazy blowouts when you cast it. I find it hard to believe I'm going to tutor for it over Cryptic Command or something, just because it's a little more awkward, a little less efficient to have everything go on at once, but it is there. Oh, even more counter spells. Oh boy. We got Exclude, which in this format, because everyone has a creature in their deck as their commander, you're going to always have a target for it. A lot of the barrel decks actually just load up on all the versions of Essence Scatter. There's Essence Scatter, Remove Soul, and then False Summoning, which unfortunately I think Magic Online will show us the errata, but it's got some awesome portal wording about being a sorcery that you can cast in response to creatures on the original printing. Dissipate to Exile, Disallow. Not sure why we got Dissipate over Voice Shatter, but whatever. Is there no Dissolve? That's offensive. That card's great. Logic Knot, another kind of Condescend level counter. And then Forbid, another, that's a really good tutor target in the end games. Notably, it's kind of a soft lock with Life from the Loam. You get to counter, buyback, and then get back the lands, and then you just have a loop counter spell every turn. Then, in terms of answers, you do have a couple good sweepers. Those are worth noting that you can tutor for Damnation and Toxic Deluge. Something that the barrel deck is weak on is not having that kind of answer. Got a couple cantrip bounce spells, repeal and into the Royal. Liliana the Veil, that's less of a spot answer, more of a finisher. We'll get to that in a second, I guess. Edict effects as kind of the most efficient answers. Go for the Throat as the best catch-all, because you actually do want to kill, like, Leovold's, Tasigur's. Fatal Push is just so good. And then Maelstrom Pulse and Abrupt Decay as your cleanup crew for anything. I bet Maelstrom Pulse is a card that gets tutored for a decent amount to kill Planeswalkers. Then the last stack, we got finishers. Snapcaster's not really a finisher, but the card advantage off of it is going to be backbreaking in a lot of spots or the secondary tutor. We have Jace Vryn's Prodigy, another actually solid commander in the format, but you're just kind of putting it in your deck because it's a good card. Jace the Mind Sculptor, probably another one of the high-value tutor targets, just a way to bury your opponent and the game. Same with Liliana. I could see that card just being an easy tutor target that you're just like, oh, I'm going to cast Liliana and kill you by making you sack a creature and then tick up. And then the tick up, like the classic Liliana where you go like minus, pass the turn, next turn plus, and then there's like, well, I could play a creature, and then it just dies and everything sucks. That seems pretty easy to put to set up in this format against decks that are light on things other than commanders. Sylvan Library and Loam as card advantage engines. You have Loam to, like I said, recur Wasteland and card draw lands and the creature land. Worth noting with Library, you can't play top, so this is kind of your top, which is kind of cute. Then Upheaval as your just like end-all finisher. Really easy to Upheaval, float a black, cast Tasigur after, which is actually just game over. So overall, one thing I'll note is that I think this format lends itself to keeping hands that are just kind of cards, like lands and spells, because it's hard to mull into a more consistent hand because you've got such a mix. And then this super heavy counterspell, I like the fact that this deck gets to branch out into discard because our opponents will have access to cards like Cavern of Souls or Surrak Dragonclaw that we need to attack. And the spot removal also handles a Commander Surrak. So yeah, let's hop on in and see what we can learn about this awesome new format.